Wanted to give you a bit of a rundown of how my day went and show you a couple of pictures. We started off with this train, what is it, XL 1200, and also the furnace and cooling coil. I have a hard time believing that train XL 1200 was originally matched to that old Carrier green box coil. It certainly could have been, I suppose, but seems somewhat unlikely that the old train XL year model on the evaporator or the condenser was. But the old furnace stayed and the evaporator coil got replaced, and so figured I'd show you some of that. I'm going to have to crap. It looks like I didn't do my job and transfer the photos over to my phone, but one thing that scared me was this electrical connection here. Somebody had cut off several of the aluminum strands on the aluminum wire and jumped it with a couple of wire nuts to some 10 gauge wire, and it looks like they had a piece exposed. I think the one on the left that you can see, the aluminum wire actually got moved when I was pulling the breaker out of the disconnect, but we got that straightened out. And I guess since I don't have photos of the after product, we will just describe the situation. So we took the old evaporator out, left the furnace, got a couple of new blocks under the evaporator coil, and the coil matched up to the supply ducting very well. So we just mated the coil to the supply duct sitting on blocks, and then I built a transition for the evaporator coil to the furnace and got that tied together. Before I started up the AC, I did a blower check and static pressure check and ended up with around 0.7 inches of water. And I was actually surprised to see that the blower data shows that at 0.7 inches static, the blower is supposed to be outputting 1365 CFM. As soon as you jumped to 0.8, it dropped to about 1200 CFM, and then 0.9 was around 1000, and then a full inch of static dropped it down to like 870. So they were barely getting their performance off of that furnace. It was a 4-ton furnace tied to a 3.5-ton AC unit. But 1365 based on static pressure is not bad on a 3.5-ton system. So we left it as it was and started up the AC. We had run a new refrigerant pipe, 3/8, 7/8 from the condenser to the evaporator coil, and my vacuum was under 300, but I don't remember what it was. While the vacuum was running, I was at about 170 microns, and then I turned the core tools, valved off the pump, and isolated the vacuum, and it was like 200 and change microns, but I don't recall exactly what it was. Startup went pretty well. It was a 16 SEER. It was a 6042 Train TTX, and so that's a 16 SEER. But with the old furnace matchup, my EER ended up around 14 and a half. We had about 8 amps on the blower motor, and then 8.7 amps on the condenser. So it wasn't doing too bad, but they're definitely not getting their 16 SEER out of it, unless maybe it just happens to be able to pull off a better performance during certain parts of the year. Right now I'm headed back to Lillington because after doing my job yesterday, installing the air temp unit, I forgot to put the master key for the apartment complex back in the lockbox. So despite the fact that it's a good 40-minute drive from where I was to where I'm going, I have to go drop that off. The rest of the evening, I don't know how much time I'm going to put into it, but the rest of the evening I'm going to go over to Project Rardonizer and go ahead and remove the old condenser, recover the refrigerant, and I'm going to try to run the new refrigerant pipe to tie in my air handler and my condenser. There's a section of refrigerant pipe that goes through the walls of the first floor, and then it comes out into the closet on the second floor. And so I'm going to have to just tie into that line, extend it up to the second floor attic, and then tie into my condenser in the crawl space. So I'm hoping I can get that done so that that's out of the way, and I can get on to more important things later on. What else we got? Picked up the Tez 8 today. Unfortunately, it was after I had pulled my vacuum on the new install, so I guess I won't get to use it until I run the next install, or maybe over at Project Rardonizer. I guess we'll see if I get a chance to do that. I'm hoping that I can get over there this Saturday to do some significant finalizing of other things so that I can get that system cooling nicely on the new unit. I'm going to have to run the water lines for Project Rardonizer so that I can pipe in my condenser for the the well loop. So that'll be a little bit of an experience. It's not going to be a whole lot of fun to try to drain that piping that is currently under pressure. I don't have a whole lot of choice on how to do it, but I may end up getting some video on that, and we'll cut that together and share it. I'm excited to get that system up and running for cooling anyway. Right now I've got it hardwired or hot-wired to run the blower to circulate air, for the fact that I had relocated most of the ducting from the old plenum to the new air handler plenum. So it'll be nice to get some cooling going there. And I'm hoping I can get that taken care of this weekend. Maybe. It kind of depends on how tonight goes. I got interrupted by a phone call. Anyway, I guess I'll close this off and check in with you guys later. This video has been sponsored by damaged Red Bull cans. Something that looks like it probably went through the war before it made it into my mouth. Anyway, thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, comment, and share. And let's see what we got for a comment. We just picked one up. Come on. Who dat? HVAC Junkie. What's up, man? Anyway, I'll catch y'all later. Adios.